one throne, three contenders, and the clock is already running. For 70 years, the answer to this question was simple. One country, one flag, $1. The United States sat at the top of the global order, uncontested, unmatched, and unchallenged. Its military stretched across every ocean. Its economy dwarfed entire continents. Its culture filled every television screen on Earth. But in 2026, something has shifted. You can feel it in the trade wars. You can see it in the missile tests. You can read it in the economic forecasts that no longer crown America as the permanent, undisputed king. The question being asked in intelligence offices from Washington to Beijing to New Delhi is no longer, is the American era ending? The question is, who comes next? This is not speculation. This is not politics. This is mathematics, military power, and momentum, and the numbers tell a story that most people are not ready to hear. The scoreboard right now. Let's start with facts, not opinions. According to the 2026 Global Firepower Index, which measures 145 nations across 60-plus categories of military power, the United States still holds the #1 position with a power index score of 0.0741. Its defense spending remains the single largest in human history, higher than the next 10 largest military budgets combined, including China, India, Russia, the UK, Saudi Arabia, Germany, France, Japan, South Korea, and Italy. Economically, America's GDP sits at over $29 trillion as of 2026 projections. By every metric on paper, the United States is still the superpower. But paper lies. And here is where the story gets dangerous. Contender 1. China, the manufacturing giant with a cracking foundation. China is the most obvious name on this list, and for good reason. China's modern military, regional influence, cultural export, rapid advancements in artificial intelligence, economic and manufacturing volume have all been highlighted as signs of global dominance in the 2020s. In purchasing power parity terms, China already surpassed the United States back in 2017. Its Navy now operates 395 warships compared to 296 for the U.S. Navy, and construction of the Type 004 nuclear-powered carrier is reportedly underway in Dalian, a project that would allow China to project sustained military power into the Indian Ocean and the Middle East. China ranks first in total GDP added, projected to expand by $5.7 trillion between 2026 and 2030. That is not a small number. That is the entire economy of Germany added in 4 years. But here is what the headlines miss. The 2020s were meant to be a milestone decade for President Xi Jinping, in which China's unstoppable march would inevitably see it rise above the US in terms of economic strength. But the force of China's economic headwinds and the scale of its demographic problems have caught many economists by surprise. One Oxford researcher put it bluntly, "I think the window in which there were credible chances that China's GDP might surpass the United States, whatever that might have meant, has pretty much closed." Relative to both global and US GDP, China has regressed in 2023 and 2024 for the first time since the rise of China began. China's population is aging fast. Its debt-to-GDP ratio has ballooned to nearly 300%. Its real estate sector collapsed in slow motion. And its military, despite its size, lacks the recent large-scale combat experience of the US and Russia, a gap no parade can fill. China may still become the world's largest economy, but it will not hold that crown for long. Contender 2, India, the long game nobody wants to talk about. This is where the real story lives. India is the youngest story in this race, and by every serious economic and demographic forecast, it is the most powerful long-term bet on the board. India is predicted to become the third largest economy by FY28, overtaking both Japan and Germany. In that year, India's GDP is estimated to be $5.2 trillion, crossing the $5 trillion benchmark. Think about that. Just 2 years from now, India leapfrogs Germany and Japan simultaneously. India has the largest share of the global population at 17.8%, equivalent to more than 1/6 of the global population. In terms of the share of working-age population, India is expected to overtake China in 2030. While China's workforce is shrinking and aging, India's is growing and young, with a median age of just 28, compared to China's 39. India stands out as the only country to appear in both top 10 lists, ranking third in total GDP added at plus $2.1 trillion between 2026 and 2030, while also placing in the top 10 for percentage growth. And here is the projection that should make every global strategist sit up straight. The Center for Economics and Business Research has calculated that India emerges as the third and eventually the biggest economic superpower, with GDP by 2100 that is 90% larger than China's and 30% larger than that of the US. India is not a future superpower. India is the future superpower. The only question is timing. Former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair said in 2024 that by 2050 India would be a global superpower alongside the United States and China. Former PM Rishi Sunak called India an economic superpower in 2025. These are not campaign slogans. These are cold strategic assessments. But India has one problem. Military power has not kept pace with economic momentum. India ranks fourth in the 2026 Global Firepower Index, behind the US, Russia, and China. Its defense budget, while growing, remains a fraction of Beijing's. Its infrastructure gaps remain massive, and its political complexity, the largest democracy in history, means decisions move slower than authoritarian rivals can move. India has the engine. The question is whether it can build the machine around it fast enough. What the 2026 Middle East War revealed. The conflict that erupted in early 2026 exposed something critical about American power that economists had been quietly debating for years: the limits of projection. The 2026 US-Israel-Iran conflict is speeding up the timeline. The current Middle East war accelerates India's friendshoring, deals, and energy diversification. As the Strait of Hormuz became a zone of risk, and as oil prices surged globally, countries that had been quietly building energy independence suddenly moved faster. China, deeply dependent on Middle Eastern oil, watched the conflict with alarm. India, which had been diversifying its energy sources, found new diplomatic leverage. Both countries were reminded of a simple truth: the nation that controls energy routes controls the century. This war did not crown a new superpower, but it exposed the pressure points of the old one. The real next superpower race is between China and India in a multipolar world. Short term, the US remains the #1 military superpower while China becomes the #1 economy. Medium term, no single next superpower emerges, but China and India dominate economics and influence. Long term, PwC forecasts India, China, and possibly Brazil and Nigeria as top powers. Russia, the nuclear giant in economic decline. Russia deserves a mention, not because it is winning the superpower race, but because it cannot be ignored. Russia retains its spot at #2 in global military rankings behind the US. Its nuclear arsenal is the largest on Earth. Its hypersonic missiles are operational and real. Its land warfare experience after years of war in Ukraine has no match in the world. But the economy tells a different story. Russia's GDP is roughly $2 trillion, smaller than the state of California. Its population is declining. Western sanctions have cut deep. And while it dominates headlines with military posturing, it has no path to economic superpower status. Russia is a military giant with an economy built on oil, and that is not a formula for the 21st century. There is no single answer to this question. The honest, data-driven conclusion is this: we are leaving the unipolar world. The era of one superpower is over. What is coming is a multipolar order, and it will be messier, more dangerous, and more competitive than anything the last 70 years produced. The international security landscape in early 2026 has transitioned into a state of heightened volatility, defined by the convergence of conventional attritional warfare, the maturation of autonomous systems, and a decisive shift in superpower priorities toward regional containment and hemispheric security. China will challenge for economic supremacy within the decade. But its demographic collapse and structural debt are ceilings it cannot break through. India will take longer, but its trajectory is the most sustainable of all three. And America? It remains dominant, for now. But history teaches one brutal lesson: no superpower lasts forever. Rome fell. The British Empire fell. The Soviet Union fell. The question is not whether American dominance ends. The question is who is ready to step into the space it leaves behind. Right now, there are two serious candidates. One is racing against its own clock. The other is only just beginning to run. And the world, every government, every investor, every military strategist, is watching both of them very carefully and making bets. The next superpower is already rising. Whether you see it depends on which data you choose to read.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to Crisis Lab for more modern survival intelligence.